Hey there everybody, my name is Adrian Nelson and I am a quantum life activation practitioner, and I would like to answer a couple of questions to you about past life regression hypnosis, quantum sort of like, regression hypnosis, all of those sort of things. I've had a couple of questions lately around the topic. So I've been doing this for quite a while now. For a couple of years, I've been doing regression hypnosis sessions. So and I've had a couple of sessions recently, and a lot of questions around that, and some general questions that come up. And I've made a couple of these videos before, but because I have had sort of like the same questions repeatedly, I thought to myself that sort of justifies making another video to explain some things for you might be new to my channel, you might not know me, you may have just come across me randomly, or you may have considered sort of like regression hypnosis, past life regression. You've heard all of these other things. What are they all about? Can be very, very confusing. So I sort of took like the 5 kind of like questions that I got, and sort of making in this video making a Q&A about those, what seems to be the questions that people are asking the most. All right, so just letting you know that the questions that I'm answering them from my experience, from my understanding. I have been practicing sort of like, just to give you a bit of background of who I am, I've been practicing like guided sessions. I would say I probably started in about 2014, where I would start to facilitate them, So I started my Reiki journey in 2013. 2014, I started crystal healing. I had some beautiful, highly beneficial crystal healing sessions. I incorporate crystal healing, energy healing, distance healing, remote healing, Reiki, and all of those type of things, quantum healing into all that I do in any case. But in 2014, I would say that I really started to benefit from guided sessions, and all the way throughout. And then in 2018, I said to myself, that's it. I want to know what this powerful modality is all about. I was very ready to help people go to that next level, to really, really grow. Because as much as I love, absolutely love, facilitating and, full disclosure, receiving, Reiki sessions, energy healing, crystal healing, angel healing, all of those beautiful, beautiful things. As amazing as they are, I remember I was laying on this one bed this one day, on a therapy bed in a beautiful practitioner's room, and I just opened my eyes and I had this beautiful, beautiful crystal healing session. I felt so amazing. I felt so positive. And that is really what these sessions are great for. They are really, really great for realigning your energy. So if you feel a little bit off, they can get you like back in sync. They're really, really great. But to get back to my point, what I was realizing is that I was laying on this bed. I was feeling so amazing. I was feeling so ready for life. I was so positive and excited about what the future holds. But then I had to remind myself that 3 months ago, I was here as well, and I felt exactly the same way I felt when I stepped in here, this morning. I felt drained, I felt depleted, I felt overwhelmed. I didn't know which way to go. And so I said to myself, you know what? There must be something that I can do within myself to maintain this level of inner peace and abundance and flow and connection to prosperity and my highest good. There must be a way that I can facilitate this myself, or there must be some sort of session that can help me to align with it so that my life gets better. And this is really how I came across regression hypnosis sessions, and all that beautiful stuff. And I remember one of the things that really changed my life. I was listening on YouTube. I was listening to a session by the incredible Michael Seeley, which was a guided session. And I said to myself, I want to learn how to do this. My mind was just made up. All right. And I've had amazing success. So it's like, I'm not even going to get into that because I'm going to rave about it too much. But and this is more of an informative session. But it's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Some people have a fear or a concern that maybe online sessions are not so effective, that maybe in-person ones are more effective, which is really not true. We're going to speak about that a little bit later on. So let's get to the questions. I kind of wrote them down because I took them from all the, from all the different questions that I have. So the first one is, so what most of us know is we are familiar with what is called past life regression. And then I go and I call my sessions quantum life activation regression hypnosis. All right. So let's just go back again. Let's just go back a little bit to past life regression itself. So the thing to understand about past life regression is that it forms part of a larger body that is referred to as regression hypnosis. All right. And regression hypnosis is basically where your consciousness goes from this conscious mind that is always so aware of everything, goes like brrr, like a mile a minute type of thing, where we choose to say to that, you take a little bit of a breather and then you go to the deeper subconscious mind, because all of who we are comes from the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is actually who we actually are. This living part, this conscious part, is really a result, a manifestation, a consequence of our subconscious beliefs, our foundational beliefs about who we are, what our value is, what our worth is, that sort of thing. Now, I'm going to go a little bit back in that just to explain the rest to you, to give it, sort of like some body and substance so you can understand it. So, from the time that you are born up until about 6.5, 7 years old, children are like sponges. Everything that happens around them, they just take it up, they absorb it, they take it as this is how things must be, this is how life is supposed to be. All right? When you take it a little bit further, the thing to understand, because remember, consciousness is always present, and you are a literal manifestation of consciousness. All right? You are a physical manifestation of consciousness. As a human being, you are a physical representation in human form of universal possibility. All right? When you take it a bit further, you realize that people also have consciousness inside of the womb already. And it's actually that turned me into a believer, because I had a session where this woman was recalling all of these things in the womb, and she was like, no, none of these things can be true. I said, well, go back and go check with your parents, go back and check with your people. And, everybody was completely bowled over, because there's no way that this lady can know about these things. Yet she did, Sorry. And then when you take it even further, and this is where, if maybe you are interested in, say, for example, something that I'm very interested in, and also something which I'm studying at the moment, which is beyond incredible, is epigenetics. And then when you look at that, you realize that 99.9% of who we are, our personality, our beliefs, our likelihoods and our unlikelihoods, we are born with this pattern. You are like, I like to say that you are like a mobile device. You arrive with pre-installed software. If you buy a Samsung, you're going to expect Samsung software. You're not going to expect Apple software, that sort of thing. You're not going to. It's going to be very weird if you switch on a Samsung and suddenly it says Joom 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 Nokia. That sort of thing. So in the same way that within your DNA, there is programming for how you're going to look, and your height, and your natural struggles and challenges and whatever. You are also basically born with a personality, and your personality is what determines the kind of life experience that you have. But just because you've been born with that personality doesn't mean that it has to be your life. And this is where regression hypnosis comes in. All right? So let's first go to past life. So something that boggles people over sometimes, you say, well, you'll say, for example, you believe that you only had one past life, or you can't understand, like you were a woman, you're a 25-year-old woman, and now you experience yourself as an 80-year-old man. What is going on here? Remember, as human beings, we are energetic copies, carbon copies of each other. You are literally a physical clone of your parents, and they are clones of their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. So you are a duplicate of another pattern. So the challenges that you are having in this life may not even be the slightest inkling of your fault. It could have started in a way different life 5 generations back, and we often don't realize that. And so when you go back and you experience yourself as that 80-year-old man or whatever, it was you and it was also not you, because you are everything and you are nothing. We are all both. The universe exists in polarity. So what I'm really, I don't want to get to all sort of like quantum physics with you, but what I'm saying is that even if you go 30 generations back, you are still a copy of 30 generations back, and life is this beautiful, amazing printer that every time you print it, it gets better. So it kind of goes from the old-fashioned printer to the modern-day laser printer type of thing, So life does improve upon itself, but it also copies upon itself. It's the same thing over and over and over. So the patterns in your life that you may be having now could have been initiated in a much earlier life. And it could even be something in the lines of, let's say that you are challenged by authority. Okay, so that leads to all different problems in your life. And this is also something that I like to explain to, doesn't really matter what I do, whether it's remote healing or, like a tarot reading or like whatever it is, a cord cutting, whatever it may be. I always like to explain to people that you have different problems, so to speak, but it's technically speaking the same energy that usually expresses itself in different ways, because you are in sort of like a flow of energy, in a vortex of energy, because we are energy. And if you can imagine that, if you can kind of like make everything around you much bigger, so as a human being, you're like the size of, say, like maybe a mosquito, and you can put you under a microscope and you amplify, you will see that there is no solidity about you. You are literally just energy. And remember that, as Einstein said, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Everything already is. Everything's already possible. It's about making what is possible for you. That's manifestation, really. And that's where vibration comes in. That's where alignment comes in. Okay? But say if you imagine that you put this microscope, like, as I said, this mosquito under the microscope, you see that's just energy. And so energy, whatever vibration we present it with will determine how the energy expresses itself. And I always say, let's simplify things. As humans, we like to make things so complicated, because if it's complicated, it's important type of thing, which really just comes from fear. So here's the vibe. If you think of water, depending on the vibration, the impact that water is presented with will determine whether it's flowing water, it's got icicles, it's snow, it's hail, it's a cloud, it's in the ground, it's rain, it's invisible, In the same way, there's a lot of things around us that are just not visible to us. It doesn't mean that they're not there. So, going back to your explanation, you've got challenges with authority, in whichever way. It could be that maybe the consciousness that you are a manifestation of. Maybe 500 years ago, there was somebody maybe sitting behind a bush and seeing how, maybe somebody else was burned alive because they were called a witch, or something like that. And so it built up that fear and that resistance inside of you towards figures of authority where you don't have control. And because that was in that person's mind and it was never communicated not to not be there, you can still have that now, and you don't even realize it, because these things operate within our subconscious, in the back of our mind, that we're not aware of. And even in the same thing, think of, for example, when you were a child and maybe, I don't know, the dog ripped your favorite teddy bear to shreds. You may be in school and some bully broke your favorite pencil, or it went missing, or like whatever. You had an electronic sharpen and accidentally put it all in there, and now you have resistance towards yourself or towards electronics or whatever it might be that went through your mind at that time, and the fear, the anger, the loss, the devastation that you feel there could also be compared to, for example, you invested in a mega building with millions of dollars, if not billions, and then there's an earthquake, and boom, there the whole thing goes, and insurance says, sorry, natural disaster, we're not going to cover for you. You buy yourself your beautiful brand new dream car, whatever goes wrong, the thing rolls backwards, down the cliff it goes. It's the same level of devastation and loss that we feel, and to the mind, everything is now. So until you haven't communicated to the mind that you don't have to have that experience, you can let go of it, you can make peace with it, it is still prevalent in your life all the time, and it has a very strong impact on how you experience your life. And that is really why I personally feel that a regression hypnosis session is imperative for every single person walking on this planet, because most of us don't realize the outdated patterning that we are walking around with, and how that consequently creates our everyday experience of life. And you ask yourself, why is everything consistently going wrong? It's because of the deeper belief that you have. But regression hypnosis helps you to identify what it is and then to move forward. So remember, time is fluid. Time doesn't really exist. And when I started to study astrology, it was mind-blowing to come to realize how time is literally a man-invented thing. It literally doesn't exist, you know? So with regression hypnosis, past life could be previous life consciousness, but we also look at something like, for example, womb healing. We look at timeline healing, which is usually from the time that you are born up until now. We look at life between lives, which is where you, what we would call where you don't have a body, or future life progression, but everything is now. Everything is happening at the same time. So you will go wherever it is that you need to go, but just because you, for example, go into the future, doesn't mean that there's other things that are not existing, or you're going to, like, say, maybe life between lives. Doesn't mean because you're between lives and you don't have a body, quote unquote, at that time, in a different dimension, you actually do have a body. You're going to where it is that you need to go. So the reason why I call it quantum life activation regression hypnosis is because it awakens you to who you are, to discover who you are, to unlock who you are, to expand it in a way that serves you best, to maintain it, to benefit from it. So it is really about setting your mind on a course that works for you, so that you're better serving neural patterns, neural pathways that serves your benefit. You take different parts of the tree of life, and you get to profoundly relax, which is beautiful because our system is so overwhelmed by so many things. Now, I would personally say, from personal experience and observation, I think it's imperative that everybody has one of these sessions at least once in their life, because it's so beneficial. Okay? I've seen some miracles. Which brings me to the next point. How many sessions do you need? And everybody speaks about these fast changes that are taking place. You have one session, kaboom, your life just skyrockets. Everything is great. Now, I will start off by saying that I have seen some miracles in my life. Some things that made me go like, what? Like great, wonderful things, but it's so mind-blowing. But in general, the mind needs some time to adapt to things. Changes that are too big, even positive changes, they can be very overwhelming, and they can be detrimental to the point that they actually set you back more. Because your brain likes familiarity. And the thing to remember in your spiritual quest and in your self-development quest and growth and everything is that we are first and foremost human beings having a human experience in a human environment. All right? This is where you are. This is where you chose to be. So if you want Earth to be successful, happy, and fulfilling for you, you're going to be playing Earth by the Earth rules. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. It really is that simple. So fast changes are possible, yes. Okay. But what I work at is to take on the patterns that are to your benefit, to release the ones that are not, and to align you with success, prosperity, and abundance in a way that serves your highest good. So it may take a couple of weeks for changes to start to take place, but the beautiful thing about these sessions, and that is why I always recommend that people keep a journal, is that you may not really see the changes until one day, like 3-4 months down the line, you pause, you look back, you reflect back, and you realize, oh my goodness, that is where I've been, and look at where I am now. So you're still having problems, because here's the thing in life, you're always going to have problems. That is just how Earth works. Because new avenues bring new possibilities, which unlocks new parts within yourself. The regression hypnosis really equips you to deal with those challenges so that they don't overwhelm you, because they don't have to overwhelm you. Depending on what your subconscious patterning is towards change. So I would say start off with one session. One session is plenty. But I'm gonna say don't, even though it's highly possible, don't expect that you're gonna wake up tomorrow and everything is just gonna be different than you. Because remember, we live in an earth reality where it's not just about you, but it's also about the people around you. If you go to bed dead poor as a church mouse, and tomorrow you wake up a multi-billionaire, and you haven't won the lotto, and there was no payout, there was no inheritance, you just suddenly have this money. It sort of goes against the consciousness of other people, and even your consciousness maybe in many ways, that you can. That is how people sometimes get the amazing things in life that they want, but then it's not in alignment with their deeper beliefs about who they are, their worth, their value, their core beliefs, those inherited beliefs, those cultivated beliefs. And your system goes like, no, we got to get rid of this as fast as possible. And you get people who can't even drive, that are buying like Lamborghinis and helicopters and castles and all of those sort of things. And that is really why a lot of times, for example, you get somebody wins the lottery, or they get this great job, and then they end up worse than they were before, because the abundance was not in alignment with their sense of value and belief in their own sense of worth. So I always say work with those obstacles first, so that when the abundance comes, it's in pure alignment with you and you can benefit from it substantially. Okay? Is it safe? Yes. So the thing to remember about regression hypnosis is that I am the one that is giving you the voice prompts, and you are the one that is following. So all hypnosis really is self-hypnosis. You're not going to be stuck in trance. I won't be able to do funky things with you. You won't say or do things that goes against your beliefs, stuff like that. There's none of those funny things in the movies where you have a knife and you're like, gotta stab him dead, gotta stab him dead. It's not like that. You are very present, you are very aware. Some people do have that gone like a light experience. Many people are very present. They might even think they're imagining things. Most people are somewhere in between. The thing about regression hypnosis, it's not so much about whether you are able to visualize easily, whether you are able to go into trance and stuff like that, because the thing to remember with hypnosis is that you don't have to be gone like a light. You don't have to be seeing anything. This is how hypnosis works. It is about recognizing the pattern, releasing the challenge, and accepting a better serving challenge. So you can do this with vision boards, you can do it with affirmations, you can do it with chants, but the thing is sort of like where those things might maybe take you like 5, 8, 10 years to start getting some sort of menial success. With regression hypnosis, you can get there really, really fast. So you do get fast changes. It may not happen overnight, but in like 6 months, 8 months, a year, you can make incredible change where you've got a different job, a different mindset, a different belief. Health problems are clearing up. You maybe got a better way of sort of like dealing with a health problem. You live in a different space, you've got a different job, you lose the weight. So it happens systematically. So your life gets better beautifully over time. You begin to like, you like that, you like that seemingly dead tree, that started to die and wilt a little bit in like fall and autumn, and then in winter you were dead. And then spring begins to come, and it's summer, and you're beautiful and you're blossoming. Okay. And it also, in my sessions, and that's also why I call it a quantum session, you are realigned with the pattern of the universe, the allness that you are part of. All right, because we forget that sometimes. We forget that we are part of nature, and often I hear people speaking about reconnecting with nature. I'm like, well, you can't really reconnect with it because you've always been connected to it. It's not separate from you. We've got this idea that we are these high, mighty, convoluted beings, and then there's just nature, and nature's here to serve mankind. You are part of it all. We are all from the one expression of life. So you can remember that you are reconnected to everything. And as you remember it, and that is really what spiritual awakening is, what ascension is, 3D to 5D, new world, new consciousness. You remember, you become aware of all that you are part of. So you align, but through the remembrance, you align your vibration to that higher possibility. So remember, everything's already possible, but you are aligning through your vibration to those possibilities. Your mind begins to open, and that is why your life gets better. Alright? That is why your life gets better. Because things that were always possible but not possible for you, so because they weren't possible for you, you weren't experiencing it, but now they're becoming possible for you through your understanding of who you are, who you've always been. Just because you've forgotten who you were doesn't mean that you stop being who you were. There's a part of you that is living that abundance in a certain, dimension, and you simply align into that. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm already prosperous, and then you align with that prosperity. Okay. Another one that is that got people like running in circles. Actually, let me add a 6-1 to this. Okay, I'm going to add a 6-1 to this. I'm going to tell you why when we get to it. So, a lot of people have this idea that a online session is less effective than an in-person session. Right, and I can understand that as humans we like to make that personal connection with each other. But we perceive ourselves to be separate from one another, but in energy we're all one. When you look at creation, so let's look at the sun, supernova star. It sort of, it was shining. Now everything in the universe exists in duality and it copies each other. So just listen to me for a moment. So the sun was expanding outwards, and then it imploded upon itself, and then it exploded outwards, so the Big Bang, and then it sent its energy in all different directions, and so everything is an implosion and an explosion, breathing in, breathing out. Your heart is contracting, and then it sort of like expands again. All of life, it exists in duality. So when you think about that, when you think of time, so we are currently experiencing the explosion of the sun's energy, the giver of life. And when we think of an explosion or an implosion, we are thinking fast, speed. But Earth has apparently been around for billions of years. Human consciousness, people would make us believe that we've only had human consciousness for about 5,000 years. Like, who's going to believe that nonsense? Seriously, come on now. And besides, consciousness was always there. Consciousness is what brought us into being. And you don't for one moment want to think that human beings is the only possibility of human-like life. I mean, that is almost like a ridiculous thought. And you can have all different possibilities because you came from the same source. If something is possible for someone else, it is literally possible for you because we're made of the same stuff. Okay? And so many times we try to heal from things. But when you understand that there's a dimension in which you're already healed, so you're not discarding what you need to deal with, that's important. But you also understand that when you manifest or create, you are more aligning towards what is already possible, the existence in which you already have this beautiful experience that your heart desires. So whether we are in person or online, it's the same thing. All right? And I've had sessions with people that were in person and online, and they were like, okay, it's really, really great. And sorry, to actually just swing back a little bit to a previous session, how many do you need to have? I would say have one session, give it at least, at the absolute bare minimum, give it 2 months, and then you're ready for the next one. But it sort of like differs from person to person because some people are very used to energy, so they can have more. So I sort of take it very one by one when I deal with people, but I would say for now, just think of one session to start with. And that can bypass a whole lot of therapy and energy healing and tears that you cry at night. It can eradicate a whole 5 years of pain and growth for you in one session. Okay? So really, they're very powerful. So whether you do it online or in person, it's the same. And, even if we lose our connection online or anything like that, remember that you are in control. You won't get stuck in trance. And we speak about that in the, the pre-consultation and the preparation for all our sessions. I give you things to do afterwards. You are safe because you are in control. All right? Which brings us to the next one, control and fear. So we kind of spoke about control, but fear, it's normal to feel nervous. It's normal to feel a little jumpy. And that's okay. I'm a normal human being. Like you I suppose I do live my life a bit differently from other people, but I don't think you can really get more normal than me. I'm just Adrian. I'm the same as you. I'm just a human being living my life, doing the best that I can. Every now and then I have challenges. And to let you know that I also book myself sessions. Like, I don't really know what today's date is. I think today is July the 22nd, 2023. I think. But 2 days ago, I booked myself a cord cutting session because I was just feeling, oh my goodness, I'm so overwhelmed, I need a break. We all get there. Okay? You don't have to have your life together because life is ever expanding, ever evolutionizing and stuff like that. So what regression hypnosis really does, for example, it will look like, how are you dealing with fear? That is something I like to look at. How do you deal with fear? And the way that you deal with fear might not be the healthiest way. Remember, life is always going to have changes no matter where you are. We have this idea, for example, when people are famous and successful and rich and all of those sort of things, 3D is successful, that these people don't have problems. Everybody's got challenges. Everybody. Okay? And it's my honor to be able to help people to be able to sort of merge through their life easier. Because the more we understand about life, the easier life becomes for us. Okay? And then the final one that I added was rates and discounts. Well, I didn't really write discounts, I wrote rates. But, you get some people that ask me, like, listen, Adrian, this is a little bit pricey. Shouldn't, can't you maybe charge me a little less, whatever discount? Or how about you do this for me for free and then I'll do something else for you for free? And I'm going to tell you no, and I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you no. Because first of all, coming back to it, if you want to have earth success, you need to play the earth game by the earth rules. All right? And I wouldn't say that you cannot, I wouldn't say that I'm fully closed off to free things, because there are some people that I do sort of do exchanges with, but those are also people that maybe I would like what you have. I really want it. And you really want what I have, so it's that fair energy exchange. But as a practitioner, and this being my job, I have to understand, in order to really serve, I have to first serve myself, but I also have to serve you. And you know what? I always know when somebody's going to have mega success with their session when they contact me, they pay me, even if we're going to have the session 5 months down the line, because you are paying by the earth rules. And when I do a session, I give you 100%. I don't cut any corners. All right? And sometimes we actually stunt our own personal growth by saying, well, this is how much I want, but I'll be okay with that as well. It's not really what I want, but I'll be okay with this. That is not a winner mentality. That is a lack mentality. And because we are connecting to each other in the session, I need to be in my fullest abundance energy. I get so excited when I do these sessions. I really want to be there. I really want to show up. I want what's best for you. That is my intention for you. That no matter where we go and no matter how the session is going to go, it's going to serve you in abundantly positive ways. And when we both are on that level, that is when you get the powerful breakthroughs. And I say to people that, you know what? Think about it like this. If you are skimpy on your own growth, what do you think is the message that you are sending to the universe? You know what I mean? If you want abundant growth, then you must be willing to play the abundant growth game, because that's how you bring the beauty to yourself. Okay. So just to let you know that if you are open to a session, I do have a video that in actual fact, I'll put the link down below in the description. It's in the same playlist in any case. So I'll maybe put the link in the playlist for you. All right, how you can prepare for a session. There's some guided sessions there that you can do. There are 2 examples of sessions that I had. I had regression hypnosis sessions with both those people before that I'm sending you examples of. They are in a very light level of trance, consciously in a light level of trance. They are in trance, but in a very light level of trance. When you have a session, you will typically go a lot deeper than that, because those were not really sort of deep healing sessions. They were more sort of demonstrative sessions. All right, so they're actually legitimate sessions, but just to let you know that if you have a session, you're probably going to go so much deeper. But they're quite amazing because they show to you how you can have, and I want to do them online, how you can have an online session, and of course I share those with those people's full permission, but you get to see how you can do something online, how you can shift your body, how you can go to the bathroom, how you can sit up, how you can laugh, how you can be serious, how you can be funny, because it's a conversation that you are ultimately having with yourself. I'm just there facilitating with it. All right, so if you are interested, my contact details are down below in the description. You can contact me. and then, you know, we can go ahead and discuss whether, you know, this is the perfect thing for you right now. You maybe want to do some more preparatory work. Yeah, that's just, I hope that answers some of your questions. If you do have some more, put it in the comments, and then I'll be very happy to elaborate on that as well. From my heart, namaste, love and light.